It's sort of like this metaphor in Buddhism. It's not like I'm a rocket ship and I'm going to, enlightenment. It's like we're all boats on the water, and as we meditate together, the water rises and all the boats come up together. And that's really the feeling of being here at MSPP. It's like all of the students are going through the program together, and we sort of this sense of all succeeding together.
MSPP, in terms of diversity, has been a very positive experience.
Being a Muslim Indian woman from Miami, I was very unsure when I first walked into MSPP. Not necessarily being accepted here, but just how I would personally feel. But I was pleasantly surprised. MSPP has done a really great job of not only making me feel welcomed and comfortable in my own skin, but also doing its own part in teaching the other students and staff about Islam. A couple months ago they held an Eid luncheon, which is one of the biggest holidays for a Muslim, and so it was really nice to see that incorporated in the student life.
There's a lot of food. There's a lot of food that's offered in terms of just exposure to different cultures.
I wasn't that exposed to diversity. When I was back home, we were all Puerto Ricans there, so I was just like in that bubble, I would say. And being exposed to diversity has been extremely, extremely helpful in every type of setting.
It's so satisfying to be part of a community that is so diverse and so different, and I've just benefited from that exposure.
I think I'm one of the Muslims and Arab faculty on campus, and I never felt that I am a stranger.
We're a community, we're all colleagues, as much as I have taken from my professors, I think I have given just as much. I think it's a two-way street here.
So one of the major things that we emphasize is helping students to think about aspects of difference and diversity, and not just in terms of thinking about groups that might be different from them, but also, and perhaps equally as important, being able to think about aspects of their identity that afford them privilege in some ways.
The biggest part of the whole thing is to be open and non-judgmental. MSPP actually does a really good job of teaching you how to do that. Like how are you supposed to help a client if you've already made a judgment before they say two words?
I think it's partly about being educated about how to kind of try to step into another person's shoes and sort of put some of your perspective and biases aside so that you can really get a sense of what their world is like.
Another core value of MSPP is experiential education. And the way that we do that in the counseling psychology department is by having students go to field placement from the first week they are in class here in our program.
That's so incredibly important because it really enriches their education. In addition to what they learn through textbooks, what they learn through class experiences, they're actually in the field working in either a clinical setting, a counseling setting, and sometimes even a forensic setting.
We give students a lot of experience in the field so that they're able to practice the skills that they're learning. They are in practicum seminars or internship seminars while they're in the field, so they get a chance to get feedback about their clinical skills.
It's like this rich environment, this sort of rich back and forth of experiencing and then coming back with questions and getting those questions answered.
The experience that you get gives you a lot of confidence in terms of being able to go through the program and go through different experiences in a more clinical setting.
I think it's great that MSPP offers you the opportunity to just start and get involved from the beginning and while you are there, they're training you to how to become a better counselor.
And then you get to go out and be hands-on in the field, sitting down with clients. It's probably one of the best parts of my day is getting to establish those relationships, getting to really see the change in those relationships as they progress, and watching the change in myself as I see that I'm learning and becoming a better counselor and really growing as an individual in my personal life, in my academic life, and also in my professional life.
My definition of a counselor is somebody who is able to sit empathically with another person and be with them where they're at, meet them like where they're at. So for me, part of becoming a better counselor is becoming a more finely tuned instrument that is able to actually sit with, the suffering or the struggle, the frustration of another person. That offer them, to be a clear mirror for them, and to offer them, feedback based on what I'm hearing.
There's a real, I think, in this field and in the training, I think part of being an effective counselor is really paying attention to the kind of the intersection of the professional and the personal. And I think being effective in this role requires a person to really have self-awareness and be self-reflective and to look at themselves in the process, and I think that's really critical.
When I think of what a counselor is, I think a counselor is someone that is going to be there to listen to you, to give you advice, yes, but not necessarily, like fix your problems. I think more than anything, with the population that I've worked with, you learn that they sometimes just need, a listening ear.
Someone that has empathy for others. Someone that will break outside the mold and try new things and really try and match their client's learning style to help them grow in their life.
We try to create an environment where people feel safe and encouraged and supported to understand themselves, and we try to model that. And I think that's another thing that really differentiates this school from more traditional academic programs, that in a lot of traditional academic programs, the faculty are not people who are practicing in the field. Because if you're housed in a traditional university, you typically have to be concerned about publishing and so forth, whereas that's not an expectation here. An expectation here is that people are also practicing. That doesn't mean people don't publish and that people don't do research. They do, but there aren't expectations set on that.
My definition of a counselor before going into MSPP was really more of just this professional know-it-all, someone who kind of told people what to do, was sort of always had to have the answers. And I can say after going through, at least in my second year of this program, after going through that, it's definitely changed.
A good counselor is really sort of multifaceted. It's somebody who has solid clinical skills and can build relationships with a range of people.
And I felt like a lot of people learned in that class and were able to get different perspectives, including myself, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.